Hello, my name is David York, and this video is concerning the expense tracker that I made using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So mainly with this expense tracker, I know it's been done a whole lot before. It's nothing new, but something unique I wanted to do for this assignment was as we track the expenses and put into a table, we're able to also utilize a chart. And let me bring it up here so we can see just real fast. Okay, so here's the website for my expense tracker. And as a user goes through, they'd be able to select a category they want the expense uh, to be, right? So let's just go ahead and say food. For a month of food, I'd probably say something cheap, like maybe $200. Um, all right, and then we'll also choose a date here. So we'll just go ahead and say today. Um, give us today's date. And if we hit add, it'll basically give you um, the category, the amount, and the date that you put in, and then also a delete button as well. So if you wanted to get rid of it, you can just hit delete. It'll also clear the table and also the chart. All right, so let's go ahead and just add that back in. Let's go ahead and choose a different category. We'll do rent this time. Usually my rent is around uh, 1,300. And we'll just go ahead and say it's the same date, right? Okay, so we have two entries for that and 2 points in our graph. All right, so let's go ahead and do a month later. So instead of just doing 19th for this month, let's go ahead and do 19th for next month. And we'll go ahead and add that. And then we'll be able to have a graph as we go. And what's really nice about this is that it's kind of more clean, which I like. Um, and being able to add different expenses into it and be able to track it. So I thought this may be useful for me or for anyone that wanted to use it. Right now I don't have a domain, but hopefully in the future I'll be able to change that later. So let's go ahead and just write that. So basically, as we have four categories to choose from, it's just going to choose different colors as we go. Um, let's go ahead and choose that. We'll just go ahead and do today's date as well, right? So it kind of just tracks it. As you add more in, I'm sure you could definitely make this look a little bit better than what I have it at right now. But let's go ahead and take a look at the code for this. And the technology mainly used was HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, like I said before. So this is our HTML index page. And unique feature that I wanted to kind of bring up was the graph itself. At least I haven't seen that done yet. And I thought it was actually kind of cool to incorporate that using Chart.js. Um, sorry, let's go back to it. And here we go. So yeah, here's the HTML. We have our um, kind of like our labels and then also our inputs. Our inputs down here and our options for our categories. And yeah, so that's the HTML. As you guys can see, referring to the style.css. This is the CSS file that I have to make it more of like a darker background, kind of more easy on the eyes. At least that's what I kind of figured for people that are viewing this. But again, each person has their own preference, and that's totally fine. All right, so the main file, which I wanted to show, is pretty much the JavaScript file. Um, and so kind of getting those HTML elements and putting them into our variable or constant variables. and then being able to um, make sure that when someone types something in wrong, like the error handling will take care of that. Um, I figured I wouldn't have to put anything for the category section of our um, of the error handling because you can only choose from four uh, inputs anyways. Um, but maybe there's something I don't know. Maybe it could have been good to have an arrow handler for that too, but I didn't really think that it was necessary at the time. But of course, if I'm wrong, please go ahead and type it in and let me know for sure. I'd love to get some feedback. So as we go on, basically it's just kind of like making functions for each portion. What I thought was really unique about this and what I had the hardest time was uh, formatting the date, like the date format to read as um, in the US. Like we particularly just normally do the month, day, and year. I know other countries is different. And using Chart.js apparently actually reads it as year, month, and day. So I had to figure out functions that would display it normally for a person in the US, and then to display it, there's like basically go back to how it was before when it was first read, um, in order for the chart to sort it out properly. So that was my hiccup, but I'm glad I figured it out. And yeah, so basically just kind of like add in more functions, and then also displaying the objects that were stored for the expenses into the table. And as you can see here, like I talked about before, formatting the date to display, which displays it as um, someone in the US will see it and be able to understand it a little bit better. Um, and yeah, like I said before, you had to like sort it back, which is I thought was really interesting. Um, but more you learn, and I think that's really important as well. So it definitely was a challenge, but I feel like I was able to overcome that pretty well, especially from documentation. That really helped a lot. And yeah, so with the add button, it kind of like is able to bring our object that we stored up on top in this array, and then be able to add that to the table. And then when we get into our chart for using Chart.js, we're able to choose the colors as we go down. And yeah, so if you have any questions or comments, for sure, just give me a little bit of feedback and everything. I really do appreciate it. Um, this little portion here, I needed help with the AI, and it did help. So I was really, really glad about that, but it definitely was a struggle. So it uh, it was really cool. I really do like this project, and this is actually kind of like the more fleshed out project that I've actually made so far. So I'm pretty proud of it. And again, feedback is always welcome. So, all right, I'll leave you guys to it. Thank you so much. Bye bye.